For 11 seasons, everybody knew your name at Cheers, whether you liked it or not. The cozy pub was full of friendship, romance and laughter, yet beneath the jokes, the show quietly tackled bold social issues, addiction, gender roles, class and identity. Today we're lifting the bar curtain to reveal 13 hidden meanings in Cheers that most viewers completely missed. 1. The sober bartender in a world of booze. Picture this. The entire show is set in a bar called Cheers. Regulars practically live there, drinks flow non-stop, and yet the star of the show never touches a drop. Sam Malone, a recovering alcoholic, is the owner pouring pints he'll never taste. His sobriety wasn't just a backstory, it was the engine driving the show. In episodes like Endless Slumper, temptation lurks, showing recovery as a lifelong fight, not a one-time victory. In the early 80s, that honesty was groundbreaking. But Sam's struggle was just the beginning. Addiction seeped far beyond his bar stool. 2. Addiction beyond the bar stool. Addiction in Cheers wasn't limited to Sam. The writers stretched the theme across the bar, showing how dependence can take many forms. Woody Boyd, the lovable bartender, slips into gambling. Frasier Crane, the intellectual voice, drowns his troubles in drink during one episode. Even later, in Frasier, Sam's behavior is re-examined through a more critical lens, reframed as a recurring struggle rather than harmless charm. This layering proved addiction isn't just about alcohol, it's about compulsion, secrecy, and human weakness. But Cheers didn't only focus on struggles, it also planted quiet lessons about responsibility. Quick pause, hit subscribe before we pull the next pint of hidden meaning. Even deeper Cheers theories, Easter eggs, and clever lessons in responsibility are coming up. You won't want to miss it. 3. Sobriety as silent messaging. Here's something most viewers didn't notice. Cheers modeled responsibility without preaching. Long before the PSA-heavy 90s, it quietly teamed with projects like the Harvard Alcohol Study to normalize designated drivers, and at its core, Sam never drinks, not once. In a bar-centric sitcom, that's almost radical. His sobriety wasn't odd or pitiful, it was admirable, a strength that quietly set the tone for audiences. By weaving this message into comedy, Cheers challenged expectations and made moderation part of the culture. Quick pause, hit subscribe before we pull the next pint of hidden meaning. Even deeper Cheers theories, Easter eggs, and clever lessons in responsibility are coming up. You won't want to miss it. 4. Diane, the feminist conscience of Cheers. She wasn't just another sitcom love interest. Diane was the voice that challenged the bar, the audience, and even the decade itself. From the moment she breezed into Cheers, the show signaled it was about more than bar jokes. Educated, pretentious, and unapologetically highbrow, she clashed with Sam in an instant. When he quipped, "I've never met an intelligent woman I wanted to date," Diane fired back. "On behalf of all the intelligent women in America, may I just say, whew." That wasn't just a laugh line, it was a statement. But Diane's wasn't the only form of strength on display. Another voice in the bar showed that resilience could come from an entirely different place. 5. Carla, feminism from the trenches. Carla wasn't polished, and she didn't try to be. Her strength was loud, raw, and unapologetically real. A single mother raising 8 kids while slinging beers, Carla embodied grit and survival. Where Diane sparred with Sam through wit and ideals, Carla cut him down with biting humor and street-smart truth. She wasn't glamorous and she wasn't refined, but she was authentic, and audiences loved her for it. By placing Diane and Carla side by side, Cheers offered 2 clashing yet equally valid portraits of feminism, one rooted in theory, the other in lived experience. Yet Cheers also explored feminism from a corporate angle, showing that strength could appear even in the boardroom. 6. Rebecca, feminism in a power suit. Rebecca didn't just join the cast, she brought the corporate boardroom crashing into Cheers. In heels and shoulder pads, she embodied the power suit woman of the late 80s, ambitious, status-driven, determined to succeed in a man's world. But beneath her confidence, the climb was brutal. Rebecca was constantly undermined, manipulated, and humiliated by the very men whose approval she sought. The writers refused her a fairy tale ending. Instead, her story became a sharp satire of the glass ceiling, a warning about how harshly the system punished women who dared to reach for power. And it wasn't just gender politics. Cheers also gave depth to its male characters, revealing hidden layers behind the ordinary faces at the bar. 7. The Lilith paradox, discomfort with female power. And then there was Lilith. Dr. Lilith Sternin, Frasier's wife, was perhaps the show's most complex female character. She was intellectually brilliant, a successful psychiatrist, emotionally restrained, and entirely comfortable in her own authority. For all of this, the show constantly made her the punchline. Jokes about her icy demeanor, pale skin, and severe bun became running gags. That was the Lilith paradox, a woman who embodied feminist ideals, professional success, intellectual equality, and personal agency, yet was mocked for them. But this wasn't weakness in the writing, it was its brilliance. The humor revealed society's discomfort with women who reject soft, traditionally feminine molds. In laughing at Lilith, the audience was really laughing at its own unease, and if you thought that was complex, the bar's very layout reveals something even bigger about society. 8. A microcosm of America's class war. At its core, Cheers was a sitcom about class conflict, cleverly disguised as banter over beer. The entire bar setup embodied a town versus gown divide. On one side sat the working class regulars, Norm, the weary accountant, Cliff the mailman with endless trivia, and Carla, the tough-as-nails waitress. On the other were the intellectuals, Diane, the lofty grad student, Frasier, the polished psychiatrist, and Lilith, the clinical research scientist. They spoke different languages, carried different values, and rarely agreed on much. The bar became the great social petri dish, forcing these worlds to collide. Arguments, misunderstandings, and occasional breakthroughs powered the comedy, quietly asking whether America's clashing classes could ever find real common ground. But Cheers didn't just stop at class divides. Beyond the regulars and the highbrows, the show slipped in commentary on America itself, turning one neighborhood bar into a mirror of a whole nation's values and contradictions. 9. The myth of the regular guy. And at the very center of this class experiment sits Sam Malone. On the surface, he's pitched as the ultimate regular guy. He talks sports, he loves his bar, he banters effortlessly with Norm and Cliff. But here's the twist. Sam is anything but ordinary. He's a former pro athlete, a local celebrity, and the owner of the very bar everyone gathers in. By most measures, he's privileged, even elite. His decision to live in the orbit of ordinary folks isn't proof of his working-class roots, but of a choice to turn away from status and embrace belonging. That makes Sam a bridge between worlds, a man performing normalcy while quietly revealing its contradictions. And these illusions of normalcy extend beyond Sam, showing how quickly status can shift and social ladders tumble. 10. The fragile ladder of status. Cheers also pulled back the curtain on just how precarious social standing can be, and it did so through its two leading women. Diane Chambers begins at rock bottom. Once wealthy and cultured, she's jilted by her fiancé and forced into a waitress job she views as beneath her. Her entire arc is a lesson in how quickly privilege can evaporate, leaving only wit to survive. Rebecca Howe, by contrast, arrives as a confident manager in a power suit, only to be stripped of her corporate clout, her money, and often her dignity. Together, their journeys became a game of social snakes and ladders, exposing how fragile class really is and how easily the ground can shift beneath you. Class on Cheers wasn't just about climbing or falling, it was also about the art of appearing unaffected, a role Sam Malone played flawlessly. 11. Decades ahead of its time. In 1983, when Cheers was struggling with low ratings and the threat of cancellation, it pulled off something astonishing for primetime television. It aired an episode about being gay. In The Boys in the Bar, one of Sam's former baseball teammates comes out in his memoir, forcing the regulars to confront their own prejudices. Norm, in a moment of raw honesty, admits his fear that the bar will turn into a gay hangout. But the real breakthrough comes when Sam, Mr. All-American Masculinity himself, stands firmly by his friend. Diane drives home a plea for tolerance, and the episode ends with bigots gently mocked for their ignorance. Bold, funny, and compassionate, it was groundbreaking LGBTQ+ representation decades ahead of its time. While Cheers broke barriers for women and LGBTQ+ representation, it also explored what it meant to be a man in a changing world. 12. Redefining masculinity on Cheers. While Cheers is often celebrated for its women, it was equally fascinated by what it meant to be a man in the 1980s. Sam Malone's identity was a carefully constructed performance, the swagger, the sports history, the constant charm, all masking insecurity and loneliness. Frasier Crane offered a stark contrast, the intellectual, sometimes effeminate man, trapped by his own fears. Norm and Cliff represented a comfortable blue-collar masculinity, steady but stagnant. By placing these very different models of manhood in conversation and conflict, the show posed a fundamental question. What does a real man look like when traditional expectations are shifting? In subtle ways, Cheers was dissecting the anxieties of modern male identity. Yet despite its social commentary on gender and class, one crucial dimension of society was strikingly absent. 13. The silent message of absence. Finally, there's the message Cheers sent by saying almost nothing at all. For a show set in Boston, a racially and ethnically diverse city, the world of Cheers was overwhelmingly white. This glaring lack of diversity is the show's most significant flaw. Yet, in a curious way, it also conveys a hidden truth. The absence of people of color reflects the cultural blinders of mainstream 1980s television, where inclusion simply wasn't a priority. Looking back, the empty spaces in that bar speak volumes about who was, and wasn't, invited into America's living room. While Cheers was groundbreaking in gender, class, and sexuality, its whiteness serves as a time capsule of the limits of its era. And those are just the hidden meanings we've uncovered. But beneath the jokes, laughs, and pints, Cheers leaves us with a bigger question. What else was the show quietly teaching its audience all along? So, was Cheers just a place where everybody knows your name or something more? Beyond the laughs, it was a show with remarkable depth, tackling addiction with compassion, exploring feminism from all angles, dissecting class, and confronting homophobia when it was still taboo. It wove these issues seamlessly into the characters, never feeling preachy. Cheers didn't just reflect its era, it challenged it, making viewers think while they laughed. That is its enduring legacy, a masterclass in clever, subversive storytelling. What hidden messages did you spot? Share your aha moments in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.